Hello my friends, this is Sergi Bidun, a portrait photographer or family photographer. Today I want to talk about my camera settings. I have so many questions and so many comments under my videos about settings that I'm using in my camera. So today I want to just go over and show you how I set up my camera for a family or kids portraits. My main camera that I'm using for family photo shoots, kids photo shoots and portraits is Canon EOS R5, and my most favorite lens for family or for kids portraits is 85 1.2 L series RF lens actually. About the settings, I try to go as simple as possible. I don't go crazy about my settings, because the most important it's not settings, it's about how you choose or select location and light and how you pose your client or kid. So my settings is really simple. First thing, I'm only shooting my portraits in RAW mode. I don't shoot in JPEG, so I'm shooting only RAW. That gives me options to do some color correction in Lightroom or other apps if I need to use. Most of the time I'm using only Lightroom and Photoshop. That's why I'm shooting only RAW. That gives me lots of flexibility to work on the image. When I'm using a RAW, then I can easily put my white balance to the after white balance. So my light balance is the after white balance. R5 camera doing really good choosing right colors for me. Sometimes if it gives too much green or too much red, there is a one thing that I'd like to play a little bit. So if I'm looking on the image on the screen and I see too much, let's say magenta or red or blue, then I'm using one of the settings. Let me show you guys. I hope you can see on the screen, there is a called white balance shift. So how you can see right here, white balance after white balance. That's it. This is my settings in my camera. And then if it's too much, let's say some colors, I see like too much, let's say blue, then I'm using this graph to change. Let's say if there is too much blue on image, or let's say it's too cold, then I'm just gonna shift this point to the red and gives a little bit, and the image gonna get a little bit more warmer. Let's say if it's too much green, let's say if it's you shooting in the area where there's so many green, then I will just jump to the magenta to overpower green. If there's gonna be too much, let's say if you're shooting in the sunset when you have so much red, yellow colors, then I can shift more to the blue. This is I'm using regularly, depending on the day, location, and the colors I see on my image. If everything is correct, I'm always starting from the middle point. If I see too much blue and green, then I will just go to the more red and magenta. So start from the middle, and then look at an image. If I see too much, let's say green blue, then I will shift to the magenta red. If there is going to be too much green and red, let's say you shoot in the green place and sunset time, then you can go a little bit to the blue and magenta. That's kind of helps you to compensate of that colors that's too much. A lot of people ask me about the mirroring mode, and here's my mirroring spot. On the mirroring mode, I'm using evaluative mirroring mode for mirroring, and this is it. I leave that as is, and that's it. Whenever I shoot, I always shoot on a mirroring mode on -1 point to get a little bit darker images. It will help me to a little bit to work on the post-processing for my portraits. So this is my simple camera settings. Nothing special, nothing go crazy. That's what I show you. This is always using for all my photo shoots. It was my inside camera settings. Now, when we're done, when a camera completely set up for the portraits, I'm always leave like this for all my photo shoots. I don't change the settings often. Then let's talk about portrait settings that I'm using all the time, that I do in switching. So shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, those three things, this is the most important. So we're going to be talking about portrait settings, not about the sport mode or landscape mode. We're talking about portrait, that subject is not moving or moving slowly. So when I'm shooting portrait, the most important for me, that's an aperture. The rest settings is completely adjustable for the aperture, okay? Number one thing, I'm always first looking to set up my aperture mode. When I set up my aperture mode, then the rest setting doesn't matter which they're gonna be the number. So you just accordingly set up for the correct exposure. Let's say I love shooting at 1.2. This is my favorite setup for my family and portraits. 1.2 on the camera. Here is this, my settings. And you can do aperture priority or you can do completely manually. I like to shoot completely manually. I want to have full control. That's my personal opinion. But if you like to put aperture priority, you can do that. So number one thing that changed completely how the image is going to look is the aperture. Shutter speed and ISO doesn't change anything. I'll completely just adjust that for the correct exposure. This is it. If you put bigger numbers, let's say you put aperture 5.0 or 10.0 or 10, then your image is going to be, then your background is going to be sharp and really kind of, you're going to have big depth of field. You know, kind of like everything's going to be sharp in the image. I like to blur out everything. I like my portraits to be dreamy, bokeh, kind of really kind of soft. I want to kind of blur out the background. I want to show only details on the face, kind of separate portraits. If you're looking right here on the screen, I hope you can see, guys, I will set up aperture 1.4 and then shutter speed and ISO doesn't matter. You can put any numbers. But let's talk about the ISO. I'm always going to be shooting ISO from 100 to 4000. I'm not really care about how much is going to be noise on the image because nobody going to be sitting on the computer and zooming to each pixel and seeing and looking how many noise down there. R5 create beautiful portraits from 100 ISO to 4000. Yes, at 4000 you're gonna have some noise, but not much that people are gonna be complaining. Usually I'm shooting between 100 ISO to 4000 within this number. I'm not really kind of looking behind and thinking, oh, people are gonna complain that I'm shooting at 4000, creating lots of noise. But usually I try to stay from 100 to 1000, but whenever it's too dark or too low light, then I will easily go to the 4000 ISO. I will set up my ISO at 200 ISO or 100 ISO. It depends how much I have light. If I have enough light, I will right away automatically put ISO at 200 or 100 or even sometimes 50. And I will forget about ISO. I will gonna be touching ISO when my shutter speed start dropping below over 150 or even lower. When I'm shooting portraits, I'm only using shutter speed to get my correct exposure. I will set up my aperture at 1.2, ISO 200 or 100, and then whenever I change location, I will only play with shutter speed to get my correct exposure. When you're shooting portrait, shutter speed did not change the look of the image. If you're gonna be shooting at 150 or you're gonna be shooting at 1000 or at 4000, that is not gonna change anything. If your subject not moving, not jumping, just standing correctly, it's gonna look exactly the same, all right? So let's go and try to create one portrait and see how it's gonna turn out. Today, my model is gonna be Diana, and let's do one or a couple pictures and see how it looks like. So we just talked about the settings and now we're gonna use it and create one portrait. The most important for me is about location and about light. So if you're gonna look at her, and let's go closer. I'm always looking for the good light for the portraits. And like you see right here, if you're gonna look closer, if you're gonna look at her eyes and you're gonna see the catch light, it means you have a good light. I have darker background behind her, and it's going to be beautifully blurred out, or going to be make it like make really shallow depth of field, and my light is going to be coming from here, from this sky. If you're going to look here, up there, it's an open sky, which is going to be my soft box light or something like that. Right now it's a little bit cloudy, so light looks soft. And let's take one portrait and see how it's going to look like. My setting is simple. It's a 1.2 f-stop, ISO is 50, and my shutter speed 1/400. And let's create a portrait. Can you go a little bit, turn a little bit this way? More, keep going, turn. And relax your lips, relaxing. Got it. And now look to your head, then turn your head to me more. Yep, more. And this is gonna be simple portrait. One, yes. Kind of tilt your head this way, kind of like hold the head with your hand. Yeah, like this, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Soft, beautiful. And chin up a little bit, chin up. How about like if you're gonna over the shoulder? Go more, like turning more. Got it. Bring your shoulder up more. Yep, yep. And look in the sky. Toward me, like my hand, and a little bit higher. Yes. Got it. My settings right now, aperture is 1.2, ISO 50, shutter speed 500. And here is the portrait. Simple, beautiful portrait. And that's how I create easy portraits. Hope you like this video. Comment what you think. If you have more questions, comment below under this video, and we'll see you guys at the next photo shoot. Bye, my friends.